Oh, hamstring. Up. Sniper, take the other picture.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you can formulate opinions without having true facts.
I'm telling you, think about it logically for just a second.
Dear Reds fans,
welcome back to the Zebra Zillionaires. It was a tough one yesterday.
Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman.
Well, good morning, and a pleasant good Tuesday morning. It is absolutely spectacular here in Hamilton, Ohio. By the way, why did you have... Good morning, everybody. I hope your day is off to a beautiful start. We welcome Casey.
Hey, Tom.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Zebra, we have lots to get into with you today.
I'm sure we do.
Well, this is kind of a Dr. Phil moment with you. But
Okay.
what is the deal? Last night, you send out something on social media about Elliott and me. Did you see it, Elliott?
I saw it.
In prepping for the show, some snide thing. Where was that from? What was that all about? What's the purpose?
Secession.
What is the session?
Secession's that HBO.
Oh, Secession. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
Secession's
okay.
the HBO
Okay.
show,
Yep.
and in the scene, they're at the Republican convention or something like that, and they make the snide comment where, like, this is a safe place where you don't have to pretend like you like Hamilton. And that's what it feels like every time that we start this show. You guys just do this little ballet show like you guys like Hamilton, but I know deep down it just eats you guys alive that you're here every day.
I don't want to speak for Tom, but deep down, we both love Hamilton.
Thank you. You are speaking for me when you use those words.
Okay.
Of course you do. We all do.
We love it. We love it. We just like to bring attention to some of the faults of Hamilton. Like, you're wandering through the forest on a crisp fall day.
Yep.
And bang, you get hit with a bullet. These are just some of the things that we bring up. It's out of love. I love it. I love the fact that any day the sky would hit me with a bullet. It's part of the wonder of this city. I don't slander any of it. Tom doesn't. We both went to Pumpkin Town.
We love the hospitality that is shown every day when we come in here. I pull in across the street, still dark outside. I run into our guys from Pawnee in the morning.
Yeah.
Friendly. I mean, so friendly. Now, when the studio door opens and Elliott comes in, heat's not working in the car, gets you off to a rough start, right?
It's a rough one. It's a tough one.
Do you roll down the windows or they work? Do you roll them up?
He keeps a pack of those hand warmers.
Those work.
He just puts them throughout his thing.
I'm thinking what I'm going to have to do, and it's unfortunate. I'm going to have to get one of those, those small heaters.
Space heater.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get one of those.
That'd be
good. I'm going to put it in the car. And where everybody's laughing at that's not even a joke. Like, I'm going to Home Depot right after this.
Well, they have those little fireplaces now that are no smoke. Have you seen those?
I have seen those.
Those things are sweet.
We could start a fire right in the car.
Throw one log in there, sit in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Right? It's worth a thought, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, we welcome you to Off the Bench, presented by our good friends at United Dairy Farmers. I'm Tom Brenneman with a cast and crew of thousands. We come your way Monday through Friday, 10 to 12. You can find us on YouTube, Chatterbox Sports page. We also broadcast live. Are we on today on Twitter?
Yes, Tom.
At CBox Sports. Always have to double check because we're never quite sure. If you'd rather join us in podcast form, by all means, just search Off the Bench with Tom Brenneman. You're dialed in. No rest for the weary, as the saying goes. Bengals beginning to get ready on a short week for the Minnesota Vikings. And that is a Saturday game, remember, at 1 o'clock. Now, lots of questions surrounding key personnel for Minnesota. Who's the quarterback? Joshua Dobbs has been the starter since Kirk Cousins was injured. Last week, he got benched after getting sacked 5 times and throwing for 60 yards. Wide receiver. Justin Jefferson, their great star, returned for the first time in 2 months last week, then took a vicious hit where he suffered a chest injury. He's a wait and see for Saturday. Running back. Starter Alexander Madison. He rolled an ankle on Sunday, had to leave the game. No word on his status. When all's said and done, the bottom line for the Bengalis, just keep on winning See what happens. Over their final 4 games, 3 will come against backup quarterbacks because the Steelers said yesterday Kenny Pickett had the ankle surgery. He's going to be out a while. One of the great things about the NFL, maybe the best thing about it, and they're the behemoth, right? They're the giant in every room, is you never know what's going to happen. I mean, week to week, game to game, heck, even inside of a game. Case in point, last night in Miami, the heavily favored Dolphins led Tennessee by 7 with 5 minutes to go. The Titans fumbled the ball. Dolphins, 2 plays, bang, touchdown. They go up by 14, 4:34 left. Tennessee marches down the field, scores a touchdown, goes for 2. They get it. They pull within 6. The Dolphins go 3 and out at that point. Titans get the ball. 2:14 to go. March down the field, score again, and win the game 28-27. It marked the first time since 2016 where a team rallied to win down by 14 or more with 3 minutes to go in the game. With the loss, a big one for Miami. Dolphins slip 1 game behind Baltimore for the top seed in the AFC. Meanwhile, in the Meadowlands, doubleheader on Monday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers were shocked by the New York Football Giants. 24-22, the G-Man ran for over 200 yards in the win. The Pack had a golden chance to create a little bit of separation in that NFC playoff race. Instead, they're now tied with 4 other teams at 6-7 on the year. Can you believe that? We'll get into more of that in a minute. Reed made a great point a little while ago. I know it's hard to believe, but he did. And we're going to hear from him. College football, North Carolina quarterback Drake May announced he's headed to the NFL. He'll skip the Tar Heels bowl game later this month. Some believe he might be the top pick in the draft, even ahead of Caleb Williams. Is the nation's top high school quarterback changing his mind again? Remember the former All-Pro center for 15 years with the Detroit Lions, Dominic Raiola? He went to Nebraska. His son, Dylan Raiola, is the #1 ranked high school senior quarterback in the country. A year and a half ago, he commits to Ohio State, changes his mind, flips to Georgia. Well, yesterday, word is now he's changing his mind again. This time going to his daddy's alma mater, Nebraska, where, by the way, Kyle McCord is visiting today from Ohio State. As far as Raiola is concerned, I certainly hope the Huskers are not banking on that. College hoops, UC back on the home floor, looking to rebound from Saturday's loss to rival Xavier. Bryant comes to Cincinnati for the second time this season. They were here against Xavier back in November. Lost to the Muskies 100-75. It should be noted, Bryant this year beat number 10 Florida Atlantic 61-52. So this is not necessarily a layup tonight. And in baseball, I think everybody and his brother is in shock of what we have learned about the Shohei Ohtani deal. Now, it's one thing that he got the 10-year, $700 million contract from the Dodgers, right? So even my Anderson High School math, which I struggled even to get a D-, okay, I can figure out that that is 10 years, $70 million, right? Mm-hmm. No. Ohtani will make $2 million a year for each of the next 10 years. He has deferred $680 million. $68 million a year he will be paid starting the year of our Lord 2034 through the year of our Lord 2043. This will save the Dodgers enormous money on that luxury tax hit that if you go over a certain threshold, you start getting taxed on your team payroll. There are some that say that Major League Baseball and even the Players Union will step in to fight this deal. Time will tell. Any word from Mr. Brian Billick yet?
No, sir.
Okay. Hoping to get Brian Billick. He's on some luxurious getaway golf vacation. Said he was kind enough to join us today. We'll find out if he comes through on that. Nick Kirby coming up a little bit later on, and we're going to talk about the Shohei deal. We start, however, with, I got to tell you, there are things you wake up in the morning, and I didn't stay up. I was tired last night. Wife's out of town. Our dog and I, Oliver, climbed in the rack. Deep snooze by about 10 p. So I didn't stay up to watch the games last night. So I get up this morning early, reading about the games a little bit, getting ready for the show. And then across X/Twitter comes the formal announcement that Elliott,
what a turn,
have given up gambling. Is that true or false? Or is this just a bit for those of us to feel sorry for you because you were under your bed, not even to wanting to look at the television after the series of events unfolded in Miami last night?
It's true. It's true. I've taken.
It's true.
This time.
You were under your bed.
No, not that part. I gambled last night responsibly. I did my best. I tried my hardest, as I always do. But last night I took a loss. It was a big loss, and I can't bear to do it anymore, Tom. I was coming off a great week last week. I had a phenomenal week. One of the best weeks in the history of gambling. But yesterday, Tom, and I kid you not, I lost every single bet. I can't win a bet.
Oh, no.
How many did you have?
I'm on a streak, Tom. I had 7 bets.
You had 7 bets on 2 games?
Yeah, 7. 7 bets. And here's the thing. You know, I did my part. I studied each pick. I researched each pick.
No, you didn't.
And each pick came up so short, Tom. It was scary how short. I live bet the Dolphins at some point during that game when the Titans had a lead. It got down to about like 1.5. I bet it. Dolphins took a 14-point lead with 4 minutes left.
3 minutes.
I was doing victory laps. I was running around the house, rolling around, doing somersaults. And when I got back from my victory lap, I had seen that not only have the Titans come within 1 score, they've taken the lead, all within a minute. A minute of game time, Tom. So I'm done. I've retired. I can't do it any longer. I thank Bedford Sportsbook for their service. I'm sure they're thanking me for my donation, and that's all there is. As of right now, I'm retired. Could I unretire by the end of this show? Sure. If I like something on the board, if I like it, Tom, I'm going to ride it. But as of right now, at this very second, I'm officially retired from gambling.
What is the picture? I mean, I did see a picture. Did I not of you under the bed?
You did. Yeah.
What was that all about?
I wasn't under the bed. I was just laying on the floor because I was just a dead man, and I thought it would be interesting to encapsulate my feelings at that moment. So there I was lying on the floor like I was dead.
What's funny, Tom, is I sent our group chat a text because I had Titans plus 13.5, so they just had to cover 14 points.
Oh, good bet. Good bet.
They're getting the ball back with 5 minutes to go. It's a tie ball game. So I cashed this bet in my mind. Muffed punt, touchdown.
Yep.
First play on the offensive possession the next time. Fumble, easy touchdown. I blinked. I text these guys. I didn't know that Elliott was on minus 1.5 of.
Yes, you did.
No, I did. I did not. I swear. I text these guys. I said, "What a terrible beat plus 13.5 is," and then it turns out that his minus 1.5 was such a worse beat.
Well, and here's the thing. Tom. I don't know if you know this. You don't gamble. There's things such as reverse jinxes.
Okay.
And Reed was doing everything in his power last night with that reverse jinx. Titans are dead. It's the worst beat ever. Blah, 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 blah,
they were
blah.
down 14.
And
believe
he
me.
used that voodoo magic.
I believe you.
He used that voodoo magic, Tom,
That's right.
to spite me and kill my bet. And now I'm dead.
All right, I got nothing to say. I will not apologize for winning my bet. If you want an apology, it's not going to happen.
Well, that's unfortunate. That's a shame.
Well, I mean, there's really not a great lineup of sporting events tonight. You just had that NBA in-season tournament thing, right? You got really the college basketball schedule tonight. It's hard to believe between last night and tonight. I mean, virtually nothing. I get it on a Monday night. You don't want to go up against football or whatever, but some teams still have to play. But even tonight, I was looking at the schedule. I mean, UC's playing, like I said, Bryant, but there's really not much going on. I mean, none of the big – there's some monster games this weekend, though, man. I mean, Saturday, there's a triple header, I think, on CBS. and you've got like UCLA playing somebody, you got Kentucky playing North Carolina. Now, if that isn't the matchup of the Blue Bloods, I don't know what is.
That's a great game right there. We'll
That's
see
a
if Cal
great
can get
game.
up for that one. He didn't get up for UNC.
Cal!
He didn't get up for UNC Wilmington at home, but
Cal. You know, I'm still that dude, you know, I mean, from Kentucky, I'm looking at the emails now. You know, he wrote me back twice. UCLA's playing Ohio State. That's a good game. Of course, they'll be playing regularly a year from now.
Yeah, that's right.
With UCLA coming into the Big Ten. Ohio State's off to a great start. They got a nice team. Yeah, so there's some big-time games this weekend. But yeah, I mean, I'm waiting to find out what the deal is with Cal. My guess is that had they not lost to UNC Wilmington, we probably would have had him on. But you know how that Kentucky fan base can be, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
I mean, they're beating him down.
I know you just talked about UCLA just then. I don't know if you saw the press the post-game presser with Mick Cronin.
I did not.
I've missed these so much. My friend Zach.
He's the best.
My friend Zach brought me onto this. There was a press conference he had with UC where I believe UC lost to someone terrible, and he came up afterwards. I'm going to start recruiting the football team. They're going to come in and take these guys' spots. In every press conference he had, he was a phenomenal coach. But he was very, very funny after games, after losses specifically. And I think after their most recent loss, I forget who they lost to, but he come out and started saying, oh, well, this guy played for Drexel. And he started bashing the other team. It was very funny. It was a very funny speech. But yeah, I've missed Mick Cronin. I wish he would come back.
You know, there's a case in point. We'll find another time to get into this because there's a lot of other things going on. But, you know, I tell you, it's funny. For being such a provincial city, Cincinnati, and loving our quote-unquote own, which every city's like that in that regard, but Cincinnati especially so, and maybe I only say that because I lived here for many, many years of my life. But I really felt like the entire time Cronin was here that he just was never appreciated here. Now, maybe that was because he was on the heel of Huggins, right? And everybody loved Hugs.
Yep.
I mean, Xavier didn't love Hugs, but everybody else loved Hugs. But we'll get into that a little bit later on because I got some thoughts. I don't know if he's getting ready here for the senior U.S. Open in another year or two from now. Maybe he is. I mean, you know, I wouldn't put it past him. He was a big-time athlete, big time, in his collegiate days, and then went on to get, you know, tryouts in the National Football League as a wide receiver and all that kind of thing. He went into coaching, and, of course, he became a Super Bowl winning head coach for the Baltimore Ravens. Casey is checking to see if Brian Billick is lined up and if anything is working because he is out of town. Now, why does Mouse Cop have to go into the drunken driving stuff about Huggins?
Because he's a Xavier troll.
Why do we have to go there?
He's a Xavier troll.
I mean, I just don't understand, Mouse Cop. Why do we got to go there? I was just talking about Hugs in his days at UC, and he had it going on.
I'm not going to bring up the illegal recruiting violations of their head coach, so I don't know why he has to go at our head coaches.
Well, one of these things are not like the other.
That's true, but it's both. Two wrongs don't make a right, Rita-Roo.
That's true. That's true.
You know, that's the thing. It's funny you say that because it made me think. I don't know how many pieces of video I saw yesterday on social media from Kansas City fans about, you know, all of a sudden finding a piece of video from Tom Brady. Did you see that, chasing an official off the field?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and yelling and screaming and all that kind of thing. Yeah, he did. I mean, look, we sat here yesterday, and we having problems?
It's not a stable connection, but you want to try anyway.
Oh, we'll try anyway and see what happens. Brian Billick joining us from the friendly confines, I believe, of sunny South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Coach. Hope you're doing well, my friend. How's the golf game? I mean, is it getting better? Are you starting to get the yips? What's going on there?
We're going to find out this afternoon. Hit it okay yesterday. Going to try today, and you know how it is with the golf. Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
I'm well aware. That's why I quit.
Yeah.
Many years ago. Yes.
More bad than good.
I can still get out there, though, and move around a little bit. Hey, I want to ask you about the officiating thing because, you know, you and I used to laugh and kid around a lot together all the years we were broadcasting NFL games, and we spend a lot of time together when you got a partner. You know, we're together all day Friday night, Saturday, all day Sunday. And you start having a chance to really, you know, talk about things that, you know, when you were a coach this or you were a play caller that. And look, you were a guy that, you know, I'm not going to say that you had an antagonistic relationship with the officials, but you certainly were not afraid to let them know if you disagreed with what was going on. Were you surprised or at all by the whole Kansas City? Let me start with the call itself. Now, it seems to me that's football 101. The guy lined up off sides. They threw the flag. Okay. Were you surprised by just that call?
Not really, because at the end of the day, and you're right, I mean, there's two types of calls. Late in the game, holding, pass interference, that's so subjective anyway. And you could kind of parse it down the middle and say that. But something like that, I mean, either the guy's offsides or he's not. He either stepped out of bounds or he didn't. Calls like that, the officials have to look at it and go, well, the guy's lined up offsides, I got to throw the flag. Now, the minute they made the big play, the guy that made the call had to go, oh boy, this is not going to, because is that kind of ticky-tack at the end? Yeah, given the circumstances, but at the end of the day, you can't make calls that way. Lined up offside. If they had run the ball for 2 yards, gotten the penalty, it would have been, okay, well, that's an unfortunate penalty, but no one would have said anything. It's because of the consequence of the play. And in fairness, they had 3 more shots now, and they had 3 situations. So to say that cost us the game and it's the officials and it's terrible, you're emotional and I get it. And you kind of, maybe we shouldn't make a call like that. But at the end of the day, the official, you were offsides. You got to call it.
I also said yesterday that I totally understand the heat of the moment, and you can certainly appreciate this even far more than me or anybody because you've been down there, we have not. I understand a guy getting pissed off and getting angry and slamming a helmet and all that stuff. I mean, I totally get it. But what happens, Brian? Were you surprised that after you have the, whatever it is, 5, 10, 15 minutes, sort of a cooling off period at the end of a game, you walk back in the locker room, you have a few minutes to catch your breath, and both Andy Reid and Mahomes came out there and just blistered the officials. Did that surprise you?
A little bit, because normally, and as one who has done that my fair share of times, okay, and I've always said, the officials $75,000 money, and they take that money. Okay, that's not just for show. That is a tough time. And someone, in fact, when they were going off the field, because he didn't see Andy at the end of the game, but you obviously saw Mahomes because the camera was on him. I'm actually in South Carolina with Kevin Byrne, our Hall of Fame director of public relations in Baltimore, one of the godfathers of PR.
Yep.
And we were talking about someone needed to get a hold of them right after the game and say, okay, I know we're upset. Yeah, we got screwed, yada, yada. But let's take a breath and think about what is it you are going to accomplish by ventilations right now. Understandable. I get it. But what are you going to accomplish? Not much. So yeah, there need to be someone with a calmer perspective to say, yeah, I understand the emotion, but let's think through how we're going to respond here.
The last thing I want to ask about this is just give us some insight here, Brian, about what happens probably yesterday. And look, this wasn't like arguing some pass interference thing, and like you said,
right,
subjective. But I mean, this was a huge story in the NFL on Sunday night into yesterday. The reaction of Mahomes and Reid and the Chiefs and so forth. So whereas maybe under normal circumstances, correct me here if I'm wrong, you as the head coach the next day, under a normal kind of a call, you might have a conversation right with the head of officials. Would the situation yesterday warrant maybe Roger Goodell getting on that call, or probably not?
Roger, if it warranted anything, it would be Roger Goodell calling Andy going, hey, look, unfortunate circumstance, but we can't impugn the integrity of this league. I mean, yes, you turned in a report afterwards questioning calls that were made or weren't made. There's nothing to question here. The guy lined up off sides. Now, what do you want the official to do? Do you want him to, he kind of lined up offsides, or he kind of stepped out of bounds. But boy, that was a big play. You can't officiate it that way. There's no call to be made in that. Now, is it that an dynamic finish like that was affected? Yeah, I gotta, like I said, I gotta believe the official when he made the call and saw the result. Kind of thought, oh boy, this is not going to be good, not going to be easy. But suppose the pass had been to Kelsey had been incomplete. Would there still be the furor? Would we be questioning the integrity of the officials in the league? Would everybody be up in arms? No, it was just an unfortunate penalty. Okay. So we can't let the fact that the consequence that it negated huge, that has absolutely nothing to do with it. The guy was offsides. You got to make the call. And likewise, if they hadn't made the call and Kansas City has a big win, had Buffalo come back and gone off, oh my God, the guy lined up offside. How did they not make that call? Officiating the NFL, this is embarrassing. Would they have been justified in doing that? Sure they would. Emotionally, end of the day, the officials make the call, and as it turns out, as you see, the guy lined up offsides.
All right, last thing I want to ask you about. Here the Bengals are. They get another great game out of Jake Browning, the offense, all this kind of thing. I mean, they got it going on, and there is a lot of hope back here in Cincinnati, and we'll see how the whole thing plays out. What we do know is of their last 4 games, 3 are going to come against backup quarterbacks. This has been the year of the injured quarterback, not just here in Cincinnati. It's happened in Minnesota. It's happened just recently over the weekend with C.J. Stroud, with Justin Herbert. The list goes on and on and on and on, going back to the first series of the first game in Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't seem to me, Brian, there's anything the league can do about these kinds of injuries. It's not like guys are getting blown up. Now, the Stroud injury, I think that one was a little shaky. But you know what I'm getting at here. I mean, they've done so much to protect the quarterback, but this stuff just seems like it's stuff that there's nothing you can do about it.
No, and the fact that we have quarterbacks that are such good athletes that extend the plays, either outside the pocket or inside the pocket with their athleticism, expose them to more hits. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady were brilliant and had 20-year careers because they knew to get rid of the ball in critical situations where they had it too long. They didn't expose themselves to the hits that the guys today do, either by running the ball or extending time in the pocket, and then they end up getting hit. So quarterbacks today, even though we are gone to extreme measures to protect them, because of the nature of the athlete, are getting hit more today. Maybe not as violently. They're certainly more protected, getting hit more because they're exposed to hits more.
All right, there was one last thing I wanted to ask you about, because I'm always fascinated. I was even talking to my dad about this last night, and your name came up about the chapter in one of the books you wrote about evaluating quarterbacks and all kind of thing, and that was more to do with guys coming out of college. I'm curious right now, because we had a long conversation about this yesterday. If you are the head coach of the Chicago Bears today, and I just think this topic's so fascinating. Justin Fields is really starting to play well. He's only thrown 1 pick in the last 5 games. He's thrown 6 touchdowns. He's run for 5 touchdowns. They're playing well. They're winning games. You know that Caleb Williams and maybe Drake May are out there sitting around in the draft. Do you, if you're the Bears, what do you do?
Boy, that is it really does come down to how much do you really believe Justin Fields is on the incline. And it's so difficult to turn around and make a first-round draft choice, then turn around a year or 2 later and have to do the exact same thing and expend those resources on the same position. And it does go down to your evaluation of the college guys coming up. And your Caleb Williams is a perfect example. There's no reason Caleb Williams should not be a phenomenal pro. But we also know that's a 50-50 crapshoot when you take it. So, and they're living that right now with Justin Fields. So my guess is, in the totality, if they really feel like Fields is really beginning to come on, and we talked about this before, Bill Walsh, legendary Bill Walsh, really felt like by the 23rd, 24th, 25th start, Now, it might happen earlier, but if it's not showing up then, it's not there. So Justin Fields, I don't know what his exact start number. He's probably on that
He's
cusp,
like 34, 35. He's somewhere in that area right there. 34, 35.
So if the arrow's pointing up, you got to think. Plus, you got to look at what's going on around it. Is he some of the things who just haven't been very good, and so So it certainly is a lot easier for them to believe that they've got their guy in Justin Fields than it is to make the huge organizational commitment and the commitment of resources to say we're giving up on this first-round draft choice to go get another first-round draft choice.
Yeah. Okay. Brian hit him straight down there. Hey, tell Kevin Byrne, if I'm not mistaken, he's born and raised Cleveland guy, right?
He is.
Yeah. Tell him I said hello and send him our very best. I miss seeing him.
We'll do it, guy.
All right, man. Take it easy. Brian Billick, kind enough to join us from South Carolina today. He's out there playing some golf. Kevin Byrne's an awesome dude, and he's right about being one of the legendary PR guys in football. He was one of the few guys that made the move from Cleveland to Baltimore. Worked for Art Modell, PR director, was there during that dark year. I did a couple of games there that year. The Browns last year in Cleveland when Belichick was a coach. I don't know if I've ever been part of a sports venue that was weirder in my life than that last year in Cleveland because all of the sponsors had pulled out. Now you walk into a stadium and you're in it. I mean, you go to a Reds game, man, and you are just like, and they're not alone. It's every baseball stadium, but especially Great America. It just seems like there is like, what do they call it? Sign pollution. What do they call it? Where just there's a sign, there's a billboard everywhere for a company, right?
Right.
And that year in Cleveland, they already knew the Browns were leaving. Every single advertiser had pulled its billboards and signage out of old Cleveland Municipal Stadium. And it was so weird. And, of course, it was in the winter. It's just dark and dreary and brutal. And, it was bizarre. But Kevin Byrne was there for all that. And then he goes on to Baltimore. And now he's hanging out with Brian Billick playing golf in South Carolina. Good for him. But, you go ahead. You were going to say something.
I was going to say, do they still have – it's no longer Cleveland Municipal Stadium. Did they get a new stadium?
Yeah, they got a new stadium.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the old Municipal Stadium was unbelievable, man. I mean,
Both teams played
unbelievable.
it, right?
They used to have an event there every year and getting off baseball for a minute. But they had, and we'll never see this again in music. They used to have every year in Cleveland, and it's one of the reasons the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland. They used to have every summer in Cleveland, Ohio, an event that was called the World Series of Rock and Roll. It would be one day, and starting at like 10 o'clock in the morning, like the sixth band down the trail would be Aerosmith. And then the next one would be somebody like fill in the blank. Your top two headline acts going back-to-back in one venue would be Led Zeppelin and then the Rolling Stones. It was unbelievable. The stadium seated 88,000, but when you put people on the field, it was like 105,000. It was unfreaking believable.
The first ever World Series of Rock at Cleveland Municipal Stadium, the lowest tiered band was REO Speedwagon, followed by Leonard Skinner.
Yep.
Then Joe Walsh.
Yep.
And then it was the Beach Boys were the headliners.
I mean, they had it going on. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. The World Series of Rock. Wish they could bring that back. You can't. You can't do it anymore. Okay, back to the Bengals here for a second. Now, every week is different. We hear that, and we learned a lesson last night. We talked about it in a monologue about just what happened just in the last 4 minutes of the game with Tennessee and Miami. I don't mean to bring it up again, Elliott. But now all of a sudden, Minnesota coming into town. 3 weeks ago, they were one of the hottest teams in the league. Kirk Cousins goes down. They make the trade with Arizona. They bring in Joshua Dobbs. Arizona knew that Kyler Murray was coming back. So Dobbs goes to Minnesota. They rip off 3, 4, 5 wins in a row. And, they're rolling. Well, now all of a sudden, it doesn't look so good. What do you think when all is said and done, if you are Kevin O'Connell, who's considered to be an outstanding head coach. What do you do at quarterback this week? I know we're still, it's a Tuesday and we're looking at Saturday, but he benched Joshua Dobbs the other day. Mm-hmm. They won the game 3-0. So start at quarterback. I mean, are you going, C.J. Beathard? No, not Beathard. It's
Nick Mullins.
Nick Mullins.
The other former Niner quarterback, Nick Mullins. Right. Beathard used to be there too. What are you going to do? Casey, who are you going to start? I mean, right now, they are in the playoffs. And you have started Dobbs for the better part of 7, 8, 9 weeks now.
I mean, Tom, that's a really good question. If you're asking me, I would have looked at maybe how long you've been in the system. I know that Kevin O'Connell's system is very just based off of the quarterbacks show on Netflix. It's very intricate. It's very detailed. Kirk Cousins had a really hard time learning it his first year. Didn't really get the hang of it until halfway through that season, and that was even with spring training on top of that. Training camp.
Thank you.
I guess that, and just based off of that knowledge alone, I probably would go with Mullins. I think he's been there longer than Dobbs. I know Dobbs probably is more athletic. He's probably maybe a little more gifted at throwing the football than Mullins. I think we all can agree with that. Mullins did not look good with a very good 49ers team. Yeah. So that's a tough call. That is a really tough call. I don't know if it matters because Bengals on paper, on defense, should be able to get to that quarterback pretty often with Trey Hendrickson there. So not saying that they're screwed or anything. I just think that offense maybe needs to be dumbed down a little bit. Or they need to go back to what they did when Dobbs first got there. I mean, he beat – I don't remember who he beat, but he had like 3-4 touchdowns.
His first week, he rocks right in there, and it was a great story, right? He gets traded midweek, and it's his third team in a year because he started out training camp, as you mentioned, with the Cleveland Browns, moves over to Arizona, plays all right, and it's a good story. He didn't know any of the receivers' names, but it's just that. It's a story, and it fell right before our eyes. I mean, we watched on primetime football the other week when he had 4 interceptions in the game. He looked terrible. And he gets benched for Nick Mullins. You got to go with Mullins. He won you the game on Sunday. You've got to go with the guy. Like, if in the heat of battle you're saying Josh Dobbs isn't good enough for you to play anymore, then you got to go with the guy that won you the game. That's Nick Mullins because he's been there longer. And they still got good pieces around him. They still got they've got guys to throw to. I don't know if JJ is going to play, but TJ Hawkinson's going to be a good piece. But this is still a quote-unquote playoff team, even though they are 6-7. So they can win with a guy that knows the system, that's an experienced quarterback, and so I think they got to go with Mullins.
Yeah.
Josh Dobbs has been bad for several weeks now. I think it was they played the Bears. He threw 4 interceptions.
Yep.
Just horrible. You have to go with Nick Mullins just for the sake of the team, really. There would be no point in starting Joshua Dobbs.
Well, then you have, as we mentioned in the monologue as well, you have your best wide receiver, who you haven't had in 2 months. And he comes back and he takes a hit, and it was ugly and it was bad. And they say it's a deeply bruised chest. O'Connell wouldn't commit one way or the other to say if he thought he was going to play. And then there's Madison. I mean, an ankle's a whole different game, man. Addison's good back. He had 10 carries for almost 70 yards in that game last week before he injured his ankle and had to come out. So, again, I mean, for the Bengals, you still never know who might step in there because, look, the Jaguars are going against Jake Browning, right, exactly 8 days ago. Right. And they thought that, after watching the Steelers, we got these guys. And then he goes out and looks like King Kong. So the next guy up might have a really good game. But it just doesn't feel like things might be falling into place a little bit for the Bengals. Maybe.
Yes, they are, and that's what scares me, Tom.
Yeah.
That is 100% what scares me because things don't happen like this around here too often to where, you do go to your backup quarterback, Joe Burrow gets hurt, and it feels like the world's imploding for Cincinnati Bengals fans. Then they lose the Steelers, and you're like, whatever, the season's over. And then they look good for a game. They look good for another game. And though they have a lot of playoff teams on the schedule ahead of them, all of them are with a backup quarterback except for the Kansas City Chiefs. So you're like, man, are these kind of folding together for us? Elliott, before the Houston Texans game, called the Texans game, this is absolutely a trap game. Listen, the Cincinnati Bengals are 4-point favorites. They're at home against a team coming off their 2 worst games of the season in the Minnesota Vikings. Well, they won one, so I guess you can't call the other one, but they won 3-0. This feels a little bit like a trap game. I know it's hard to say when you have your backup quarterback in there that you can fall into a trap, but after looking like they did the past 2 weeks, this is a team that's playing much better than the Minnesota Vikings. If they play like they've played the last 2 weeks, both teams, then the Bengals will go out there and they'll win easy. That's what scares me, Tom.
Yep. That's
what scares me is that it does feel absolutely like this is a game that the Bengals will slip up and fall.
Yeah, I mean, if Justin Jefferson is healthy, we don't. I'm not going to take credit for this. This is not my take. This is a good friend of the program, Austin Elmore. The weapons that the Vikings have at their disposal, T.J. Hockenson, Justin Jefferson. Don't count out Alexander Madison. Don't count out Jordan Addison. That group of
Yep.
skilled positions.
Yep.
I mean, we're down Cam Taylor-Britt. We have a bunch of rookies in the backfield. We don't really protect the tight end very well. It's not a great matchup in terms of defense versus offense. And then
it hurts too, yeah.
And then you look at the other side of the ball.
Come on. I mean, come on.
I'm
They
just
scored
saying.
3 points
I'm with you,
against
Tom.
the
I'm with you,
Raiders.
Tom.
The Raiders.
I get
with
it,
you.
but it spells trap game all over it. And I'm just listing the
Oh,
reasons
my
why that could potentially
Oh,
be a
my
trap
God.
game. I'm not going to fall
come on,
victim like I
come
did
on.
against the Texans.
Come on. Okay.
What?
These are the points.
You're comparing a team led by C.J. Stroud at that point in time, who might end up having the best rookie season of any quarterback in the history of the league.
Yeah.
And Joshua Dobbs and Nick Mullins. Casey.
What?
I mean, you keep going like this. I mean, you remind me of having to walk to classes in Athens, Ohio. It's always like this. I was in such good shape then. Seriously.
I mean, they have one of the.
You said D-U-N. You and Elliott Rearing both said 3 weeks ago. D-U-N. Done. Season over. Then you're at the top of the mountain after Jacksonville. Top of the mountain. Oh, my God. Look what we did to the Colts. And now you're telling me about Nick Mullins and Joshua Dobbs and the tight end being a bad matchup for a team that scored 3 points last week.
Yeah, I understand. I get what you're saying,
Thank
Tom. But I wasn't finished yet either.
Okay.
I was just
My
explaining.
bad, my bad.
Daniil Hunter, too, on the other side of the football, one of the best pass rushers. We don't do well against top-tier pass rushers.
There's a lot of blitzing packages. That is a little scary.
Yes,
but
it is.
as for the Vikings offense, listen, the Bengals scored more points between the times of 1 and 4 on Sunday than the Vikings had the last 3 weeks. So, let's not praise this Vikings offense. And they've got the weapons. If JJ can play, which I don't know what that looks like, TJ Hawkinson's obviously a very good tight end. But come on, guys. And I know our defense is in shambles right now. Like, our defense has not looked good other than this past Sunday for a long time.
Jacksonville, they weren't bad. They weren't
31
great,
points,
but they
but-
weren't bad. I know, but they weren't bad.
31 points is a lot of points. But, yeah, I feel the sentiment. So, yeah, maybe the Vikings can come into Paycor Stadium on Saturday and put up 30 points. I don't see it. I truly don't see it. And that's what scares me, once again, is that this feels like it is very reminiscent of where I was, again, before the Texans game, where it feels like everything's kind of fallen into pieces. This Bengals team for now 9 weeks has been very good for 6 of them. So, I don't know.
The good news is that, again, you look around the NFL, I really believe – there might be only 3 teams that are significantly better than the Bengals right now. There's only 3, and 2 of them are in the NFC. So I think if you're the Bengals right now, you take it game by game. You beat the Minnesota Vikings because, like Tom just said, it's Nick Mullins, it's Joshua Dobbs. You've already beaten Joshua Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs did not look good with the Cardinals against the Bengals. He did not. You take this game, you win it, you move on, you take it game by game, and we'll get to the playoffs. We're facing backup quarterbacks the rest of the way. So Take it, win it. Except for Patrick Mahomes,
You know,
they
you
don't
said-
they don't look good either though. So it's like
Yeah, he's pretty much a backup anyways.
You
That's
just
how I
said
meant.
something very interesting, though, and I think it's accurate, and it just goes to show you the state again of the NFL and something we talked about in the open and how you just never know. I mean, maybe we're all madmen sitting in here thinking that the Bengals could beat anybody. What you just said in the AFC, maybe with the exception of Baltimore. I think that's probably who
Yep.
you're referring to. It's amazing to sit here and think that, but I mean, can't you kind of see it? Now, they're going to get a chance to beat one of those teams. We're going to have our Power 5 coming up right after 11 o'clock today, and our power rankings and our picks from last week. Have Nick Kirby coming up a little bit later on in the show. But after watching Kansas City, I got to be honest with you. And I may sound like a fool for saying this because one has a better record than the other. Now only 2 game difference. But I'll tell you right now, if I had to play at Arrowhead versus playing at Buffalo right now, I'd rather play at Arrowhead.
Both are tough games. Yeah, listen.
If I had to play the Bills or the Chiefs today, I would rather play Kansas City.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're.
And then
I think I'd rather play.
Miami, am I buying
Oh,
Miami?
I'd much rather play at Miami than those two places, 100%.
Well, for sure.
I would much rather, and that's with our defense looking like it is against that offense. I mean, they might put up 30, but I don't believe in the Miami Dolphins at all. We constantly talk about, at least us when we're off the show, about the NFC versus the AFC and this debate about which conference is better. And you look at the best teams in the league, most of them are in the NFC, right? 49ers, Eagles, Cowboys, they all look at the best teams in the league.
And that shifted quickly.
Right. But in the same jest, if you look at the NFC, they've currently got 2 wild card teams that are under 500.
Yep.
They could have 2 wild card teams be under 500.
And a division champion under 500.
So 3 teams in their postseason be under 500. Meanwhile, and it probably won't happen, but it could. Meanwhile, in the AFC, there could be a team that goes 10-7 and not make the postseason.
Yep.
So the whole conference versus conference debate is lunacy to me. And here's another point to illustrate that. The team that is currently tied in the NFC for the best record, the Dallas Cowboys, they're 10-3. Same record as the 49ers, same record as the Philadelphia Eagles, 10-3. They are currently underdogs this weekend, betting lines, against the team that is slated 11th in the AFC. Now, I get it. It's the Buffalo Bills. I get it. That's not the 11th best team in the AFC. But that's a fact that the team with the best record in the NFC is an underdog against the team that is 11th in the playoff picture right now in the Buffalo Bills. So it's the NFL. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make is it's the NFL, and sometimes injuries happen to the AFC. But we just saw it last night. The Titans look terrible. They are 14-point underdogs, 2 touchdown underdogs. That doesn't happen in the NFL hardly ever. And what they do, they win on prime time. They came back from 14 points in the final 3 minutes. That's why the NFL is the best sport in the world, and it can happen any given week. So, yeah, can the Bengals, the way that they're playing the last 2 weeks, make a little bit of a run? I don't see why not. If you play like you did the last 2 weeks, you can beat any team in this league. Now, will you get that every single week? Absolutely not. But I guess the point I'm making is it's just – yeah, it's always wide open in the NFL. It's any given Sunday, that old adage.
By the way, it's interesting to note that after the games over the weekend, looking at the NFC side of things, Philadelphia in one game went from a number 1 seed in the NFC to the number 5 seed in the NFC. But some of you may have seen the little bit they did on NBC, Football Night in America, I think they call it, before the game, where they got their analytics guy up there, stat guy, numbers guy, whatever you want to call him. And he basically said, hey, look, the chances of winning the division, okay, between Dallas and Philly, even if Dallas were to win the game the other night, which of course Dallas did, okay, and they're both 10-3. Today, Dallas wins a tiebreak against Philadelphia based on best win percentage in division games. That is only because they've played one more game than Philadelphia. The bottom line is if the Eagles and the Cowboys win out the rest of this season, and that's no guarantee for anybody, especially with Dallas going to Buffalo this weekend. But if they both win out, both sitting at 10-3, the Eagles would be the divisional champion because they would have identical records inside the division. Philadelphia would be 1 game better in the conference, and they split their head-to-head. So That's where all that stands. So if you're looking at Philly going from 1 to 5, if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I don't think you need to lose a ton of sleep over that. You look at their remaining schedule and who they've got left. I like their chances.
Right.
They've got the Giants twice, which they should win those games, although those are good division games. They have the Cardinals once, and then this coming weekend, probably their biggest test of their Final Four would be at Seattle. Geno Smith's been knocked around. Tough to say. Let's see. What is all of this stuff going on here, by the way, Elliott, with you and my good friend, Sir Boy Wonder?
Oh,
No.
Sir Boy Wonder is one of the giants of this show.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
No doubt. He is the first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right, there's no doubt
For
about it.
Chatterbox Sports
Sure.
off the bench. And now there appears to be some sort of division in the ranks.
No, that's been solved. It's been solved. I think it happened last week during the crosstown shootout rivalry. There was some heated things said in the chat, but we've resolved them. It's water under the bridge now. Me and Sir Boy, we're a big happy family.
Okay, well, Blackmore says in here that, yes,
Well,
Tom,
Blackmore-
Elliott hates Sir Boy.
Well,
And I just want to
Blackmore-
make sure we don't have any of that kind of thing going on, because I think the
Blackmore's a
world of
just
him, I think the world of you. I don't like seeing this.
Well, Blackmore is slandering us, so that's tough.
Mouse Cop says Elliott hates our loyal viewers.
It's just not true.
What a turn this chat has taken to
It
where
really has. It's gone dark.
Well, Mouse Cop, the same thing that Mouse Cop's saying to Elliott right now, he said to me for like 6 months.
He did.
So what a turn we've had. And I'm not gonna lie, I like it. I
Fall
like
from
it.
grace.
Drew Garrison is defending me now.
He says he'll defend Elliott against all enemies,
Thank you,
foreign
Christopher.
or domestic. That's our guy.
No doubt about it.
That's our guy, Drew Garrison.
I wanted to bring this up. The Dolphins yesterday, I was watching the game, and it is abundantly clear if there is ever a year for a quarterback not to win the MVP award, it would be this year. Tyreek Hill should be in the conversation for MVP. The Dolphins are abysmal without Tyreek Hill. There was a stretch during that game where they didn't look like they could move the football. Tyreek Hill comes in and then boom.
That is their offense.
He's the entire team. Without Tyreek Hill, that team is nothing. If he gets 2,000 yards this year, you can't tell me he didn't have a better season than Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott, who really are the front runners right now.
2,000 yards would be NFL breaking, he'd be breaking the receiving record. So yeah, that, in my opinion, that deserves MVP votes. But in all honesty, there's not really a front runner this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, someone's gonna close out. If I had to put money on who's gonna finish out, I don't know. The Cowboys play such a tough schedule, but I'm not gonna make a point on that. But I'll say this about the Dolphins: they didn't score a touchdown. The high-scoring Dolphins offense did not score a touchdown except for after the muff punt and the fumble in the fourth quarter. Because the defense scored on that terrible Will Levis play.
Yep.
That terrible play in the first half. Oh, my God, that was atrocious. But, the offense, all I heard, and I haven't watched a whole lot of the Miami Dolphins, is all I heard about is how great this offense is, And they play against the Tennessee Titans, who haven't been very good this year. And they do nothing.
Yep.
Well, Tyreek Hill was gone for a majority of the game. That's why. And that's my point. Tyreek Hill should absolutely be in the conversation for MVP. I've been seeing Christian McCaffrey in the chat. Absolutely. He should be in the conversation too. But you can't tell me right now that Brock Purdy should be the MVP.
I will not.
Fellas, come on now. You guys got your bias against Brock Purdy.
He's got every
always hated Iowa.
He's
State
got every
quarterbacks.
wide receiver. He's got every weapon in the world.
Oh, and you're going to penalize him for that.
I'm not penalizing him. I'm saying he shouldn't. He didn't have a better season than Tyreek Hill.
According to sportsbooks right now, Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy are the favorites. Dak Prescott is the favorite, plus 150. Brock Purdy's 185. And then there's a little bit of a steep gap, and then it's Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. You would have to get to the fifth best odds at Tyreek Hill, which is 15-1.
Because they don't give him to wide receivers. The year Calvin Johnson broke this record that Hill is trying to break.
Right.
He wasn't even in that conversation.
Who was the last quarterback or the last non-quarterback to win the MVP?
That's a good question.
Adrian Peterson?
Yeah,
I think
it is.
Adrian
It
Peterson.
is.
Yeah.
But I would argue that the year, I would have to look at it, I would bet that the year that happened, there was significantly better quarterback play.
Right,
The quarterback play has been bad this year.
Well,
not
Brock
someone
Purdy and Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott haven't been
You
bad
can
this
convince
year.
me Lamar Jackson
I
can win
mean,
the
Brock
MVP. You
Purdy
can
is
convince
hitting
me
70% of his passes for 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns against 7 picks. I mean,
It's a lot of what, and again, this is people are going to say I'm knocking Jake Browning here, but it's a lot of the Jake Browning offense where he throws screens and Deebo Samuel makes a
my
couple
God.
guys miss, and he goes.
Oh,
That's
my God.
That's not opinion, Tom. That's what happens. Christian McCaffrey has 80-yard runs. That's how that team works. Again, I'm not penalizing him. I'm just saying that's how it is. He has a plethora of weapons, and he's done his job. I credit him. He's done his job. But if you take Tyreek Hill away, if you take him away from the Dolphins, that team doesn't win games. If you
took any of those guys away from their teams, they don't win games.
If I put Jared Goff in for Brock Purdy, they win games.
I still hold that true.
Oh, my God.
Tom, you're
Are we
telling me
doing this again?
Tom,
Has anybody watched Jared Goff play football
He's terrible,
this
but
year?
that's not the point.
That would not. There's no
Jared Goff
way.
has won 9 games. We're acting like he hasn't won games. Like you didn't just pick. Like what about Desmond Ridder? Does he win 10 games with the 49ers?
they wouldn't be 10-3 right now, but they'd
I
probably
don't
be like
think
8-5.
so.
Yeah, I don't think so either, Casey.
They'd have a winning
You're
record.
spot
They'd
on.
be 8-5 at least. At least.
No, they would not. No,
Yes, they would've.
No, they would not. No, they
You don't think Tyreek Hill could win the MVP if he gets to 2,000 yards?
No.
It's never happened before.
Not going to happen. Especially if Dak goes off here down the stretch.
That's fair.
Those are two of the most prominent franchises in the NFL, biggest franchises following Niners, Cowboys, quarterback position. One of those two dudes is going to win it. Lamar's numbers are not good enough as far as touchdown passes. He's only got 16. Those other guys are Purdy 27, Dak 28. Purdy a better completion percentage, more yards, all that kind of thing.
What if Lamar runs for 1,000 yards? He's got a long way to go.
Well, he's got 650 or something like
Yeah, he's
that.
got- so he'll probably get
could
like
do it.
800.
I mean, if anybody could do it, he could do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe probably like 800. But
Too bad for him he doesn't play the Bengals.
he'd be like 30. He'd probably have like 3,700 yards passing and like 800 rushing. That's a decent MVP.
That's really good.
That's really
It's
good.
really, really good. You know, what's interesting is Justin Fields might have more in all those categories than Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that for a minute.
Right. Mr. Mo brings up he has a $2 super chat, says, Brock Purdy leads the league in yards per attempt.
That's right. So
What
to say
about-
that there's just a dink and dunk quarterback stuff on this thing is just completely inaccurate.
What about
Joe Burrow was averaging like 4.5 yards per attempt. Purdy leads the NFL in yards per attempt. So he ain't some dink and dunk guy.
what are those receivers' yards after completion?
Well, there's no doubt about that, but you can't have it both ways. Or actually, you can have it both ways. You can say that their receivers break a lot of tackles once they catch a ball. No doubt about it. But you also cannot, for a second, take away the fact that he's not some dump-it-off screen guy and his receivers take off and run for 50 yards and he gets 50 yards passing. He's 7th in air yards this season. So, I mean, come on. Number 1 in passes per attempt? Come on. I don't know why you guys are so down on Purdy. This guy's one of the great players in the league. Casey,
Purdy's
you
great.
and I are the only ones in agreement here.
Purdy has been playing lights out. I mean, it doesn't matter how you look at it. You still got to make the throws. You still got to make the right reads. And, I mean, he's got 2 great receivers, a great tight end, a phenomenal left tackle.
Best running back in the game.
One of the best running backs in
Best
the game.
defense.
I mean, that sounds a lot like the Bengals.
we have the best
2
running back in
great
the game.
receivers.
left tackle.
Two great receivers. We have one of the best left tackles in the league. Yes, we
have
do
top
because
3
he's
tight
paid like
ends.
one of the top left tackles.
Tut, tut, tut.
And let me tell you,
See, Tom,
our
now this is
offensive
where you
line
lose
is
us.
way better performing than the 49ers offensive line, hands down.
Tom, you're
Joe
not,
Burrow is 29th in the NFL in yards per attempt. 29th.
Who brought in Joe Burrow? I never brought in Joe Burrow.
No, I'm just bringing it up, the fact that
your guy Casey over there is bringing up Joe Burrow and the Bengals, comparing him to the 49ers.
Doesn't Joe Burrow have pretty good weapons? If you were to line up all the weapons, now there's a significant difference as far as the number one running back compared to Joe Mixon. Okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
McCaffrey, right?
Yep.
But after that, let's just say it's a coin flip between, if you want, between Chase and Deebo Samuel. Just say it's a flip of the coin.
Okay.
Okay? Which I think Chase is better, but let's just say it's a flip of a coin.
Brandon Ayuk and T. Higgins.
T. Higgins is a much better player.
Okay, George.
Not this year, he's not.
George
based
Kittle.
on numbers.
Tanner
What are we
Hudson.
talking about?
Yeah, but then Tyler
Brandon
Boyd
Ayuk
is better than their third guy. So maybe at the end of the day,
Christian
there
McCaffrey?
is well, I said that already. At the end of the day, it's not far from being a wash.
Armstead versus Orlando Brown.
It's not Armstead.
Orlando, it's Trent Williams, and he's missed a lot of it. That's another reason why you got to give it up to Purdy. The best left tackle maybe in the game has missed a half the year, and the cat's still cutting it loose.
And they lost 3 games when that happened.
All right.
Ben Riley with a $20 super chat, Tom. I can't believe I'm saying this, Casey, but I think Tom is right. Joe has outright said his hyper-aggressive play style part of why he gets hit so much. He loves empty and hates checkdowns.
Well,
Jake is fine with it.
That's where the rubber is going to meet the road, and we're getting far ahead of ourselves right now. But the rubber is going to meet the road with this franchise. What happens next year? Because the inmates don't run the asylum, and I don't say that in a negative connotation towards anybody who plays for the Bengals. I don't mean it that way, but you know what I'm getting at here. Okay? Just because Burrow likes empty and likes shotgun does not mean that's what you're going to do moving forward.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that. He is only a 4-year player. To be honest with you, he's a 2-year player in this league. Call it 3. He got hurt halfway through his rookie year, halfway through this year. He's a 3rd-year player in the league, 3-year player in the league. No matter how great he is, no matter how much money he makes, he is not going to dictate to the head coach of the football team or the offensive coordinator of the football team exactly what kind of offense they're going to run because he's more comfortable in it. They have been better on offense the last 2 weeks than they have at any point in time this entire season. Period end. Period end. And that's because of the style of play. Nobody is arguing that Jake Browning's better than Joe Burrow. He's not. He's not. Not even in the same galaxy. But the Bengals as a team, run game, production out of the tight end, incredible leap production-wise out of the running back room. Now, yes, part of that, Chase Brown is playing. He wasn't playing when Burrow was there. But think about what we said about this, okay, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. There wasn't an area on this team outside of Evan McPherson that was better this year than it was last year. The quarterback play wasn't as good. The running back room wasn't as good. The tight end room wasn't as good. The wide receiver room wasn't as good. The offensive line wasn't as good, even with Orlando Brown and spending all the money they're spending, if you're taking into account the pass game and the run game. Now, all of a sudden, in the last 2 weeks, every single area of the team is better. The quarterback play, the numbers don't lie. It has simply been better. The completion percentage, the yards per game, the touchdown to interception ratio, the running backs, the offensive line. Now, the only area you might be able – the tight end room has been significantly better. The only area, ironically enough, where you could say it's probably not better is the wide receiver room. Because Chase had 3 catches last week for 29 yards, yet they still put 34 points on the board. So it's really going to be interesting to see what happens next season when Burrow's all healed up. Browning's going to be starting some. I know that they have control over Browning. Nobody in their right mind is going to hold that young man under a contract if he gets a chance to sign with somebody else and make some money to be a starter.
Yeah.
But that's way far down the road. All right, let's take a break. We got Nick Kirby coming up at 11:40. After the break, we're going to talk our picks. We're going to talk about our Power 5 in both, just the NFL this week. The college game, it's old news now. And Casey, Now that you're healthy and well, voice is tuned up.
Yep.
You sound like Pavarotti.
No idea who that is.
You got the hair going long these days. You're about due for a cleanup.
Yeah, I need to get a haircut. That's for sure.
You know what happened? It makes me think. It's so funny. So, our dog, we got at the shelter, right? And this guy is just he's clearly somebody had abused him. And by the way, people who abuse they should be thrown in jail, close the door, and never let them out. People who just go out and hurt animals. They should just be throw away the key. Anyway, somebody hurt this dog clearly. So he's kind of getting his oats about it. We've had him about a year now. But one thing the old boy cannot do is go to a groomer. So we were told to get some, like some medicine for him, like to just calm him down, right? So, we tried that, and the groomer said, he's not welcome back. So then we called one of those where they come to your house, and you have to take out a home equity loan to be able to get to pay those people. This beautiful, adorable young woman comes over. She's got this beautiful truck. We put him in there. This is last Friday. We're all excited. He's finally going to get a haircut, clean him up. Well, he got through the wash, no problem. Got through drying him off, no problem. Then came the cut. No problem. Cleaning him up along the sides, cleaning him up along his back. Well, the second they try to get close to the old hindsight area, right? The old boy. So he is walking around right now looking like he has mange or something. So half his hair is cut, the other half is not. Well, one of my jobs today is to take my clippers out and try to finish this job because it is so sad watching him run around the way he looks right now. All right, Casey, and then we'll take those clippers to you if you don't get it.
Well, I don't think you have to worry about that, Tom. I'll probably get something done here in the near future. This break in the Bengals talk was brought to you by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data-centered world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and... You guys just did miss something incredible.
That's the most preposterous thing I've ever seen. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. He brought that cord way outside. Productivity.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, we have a cable that stretches all the way over there for Elliott to control our teleprompter, and Tom just tripped over it like 5 or 6 times.
He brought it outside the room.
Brought it outside the studio. He just carried it along with him. Anyways, Pawnee water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio, uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that other brands use. The result is a healthy alkaline water, and some say the best tasting water in the world. Visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNIwater.com. See where you can buy this great tasting water. Guys,
we got 3 super chats. We got a couple soupy choopies.
I've got a couple super chats here lined
super
up.
Chatty
I'm going to shoot Ben Riley first. $5 super chat. You don't have to be more talented. You just have to play smarter, and you win. The offense with Joe, the Bengals blow out teams, in my humble opinion. Yeah,
honestly,
he plays hero ball. That's what he's really good at, in my opinion. That's the offense. Hero ball with Joe. Mark, quit gambling, more money for super chats.
It's true, Mark.
Nice.
It's true.
He said he's quitting.
Who?
Mr. Mo, we already went over this one. Brock Purdy leads the league in yards and attempts. And then we already went over the Ben Riley $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Ben Riley. That's a big super chat for us. And then Drew Garrison. Tom's reacting to Hamilton's own Slim Jesus is the content we need.
So I love that Drew Garrison knows who Slim Jesus is. Slim Jesus is a rapper from Hamilton. He had a song go viral, like when I was in high school, I believe. I think it was in high school about a decade ago. He made a music video. The song's called Drill Time, which means like shooting people, right? As hip-hop songs do from time to time. This guy, he looks like he's never shot a guy. But the whole music video is them playing with airsoft guns. And it's like trap rap. It's very, very gangster rap, and he's playing with airsoft guns in the music video. I truly would love to see Tom react to Slim Jesus, although we probably can't play Drill Time because of the explicit language in it.
Not because of the copyright.
Yeah, I don't care about the copyright. One time I saw Slim Jesus at a local Mexican restaurant, and he was on FaceTime the entire dinner, and he was just yelling into his phone, and he ruined the entire experience for everyone in the room. But luckily, he's a celebrity, so he could do that.
Yeah. Did he make a pretty penny off that, do you think? Or
He got signed to like Meek Mill's label.
really?
Yeah.
That's kind of
that
crazy.
And then didn't do anything with that?
Yeah, it's just that one.
Oh.
Tom, are
He's
you
got
okay?
over it. Oh.
I'm good. I think I kicked the. Thank you. I think I kicked the.
We got it.
You got it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were talking about it. You took that outside the studio.
I know I did. I had to cut Elliott off because I had a sneaking suspicion that he was going to tell us that he is reconsidered and that he will have heavy action on the Bearcats v. Bryant tonight.
I might. I'm debating going to the game. If I'm at the game, I probably will.
That'd be a good game to go to tonight.
Bounce back game?
Well, I mean, and it's not, like I said in the open, it's not an easy game. I mean, they played Xavier relatively tough back in right around Thanksgiving. It was 100-75. And they beat Florida Atlantic. I mean, every time I look at FAU ranked 10th in the country, I think to myself, are you kidding me? But they were when they played them. They were ranked 10th in the country, and Bryant beat them.
The spread for that game is 19.5.
That's a lot of points, man.
Would you take it? Would you take the Bearcats?
19.5. I'd have to dive into
Xavier beat him by
Bryant
25?
I'd have to dive into Bryant a little bit more.
Tom, you said that you're picking up Luke from Bloomington.
I am.
This
Thursday.
week.
Fired up.
Thursday. I thought we were supposed to go to Bloomington on Saturday to watch the Kansas Jayhawks against the Indiana Hoosiers.
That is going to be a severe beatdown.
You, me, and Luke. They sell beer at Assembly
It's going to
Hall
be
now.
a beatdown. You're not going to that game. The Bengals are playing on Saturday. You're not going to that game.
That's true. That's a good call.
Bengals are playing on Saturday. All right, what did I miss here? Did I miss anything?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, I just want to make sure there's nobody in the chat that's out of line. I always like just checking in to see what's happening.
We did.
Did you guys, by the way, take those high noons home?
They're in the fridge, I think.
Yeah, they're still in the fridge here. They're still
One
in
of
the
you guys
fridge.
got to take those home.
Okay.
All right.
Reed will take them home.
Yeah, I'll enjoy them.
We didn't talk about the other game really, the Giants versus Packers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk about that.
I was watching that game, and again, one of my Manning wagers was Saquon Barkley to be good at football, and he was last night. But there was a point in that game he had about 15 carries for 22 yards, absolutely preposterous. He then broke it out at the end of the game, had a 33, I think it was like a 10-yard run, a 17-yard run, and then a 33-yard run. On the 33-yard run, he fumbles the football, gives the ball back to the Packers. Packers march down, score. I thought it was over, but there he is. Our pride and joy, Fat Randy, marched down the field and kicked
What
the game
about
winner.
Fat Randy?
Fat Randy, man, he never stops. The
It's
guy is a legend.
Why
in
you
the
got to
kicking-
beat him down?
I don't beat him down.
That's his name.
That's his name. His name's Fat Randy.
I think his mom calls him Fat Randy.
Yeah, it's like at Christmas. Like
You can book it. His wife does.
no, his mom too. Hey, Merry Christmas, Fat Randy.
Like I got Elliott, I got Casey, and
Do you
then
think
my
that when
third
they
son,
put
Fat
on the
Randy.
Christmas card, they started with Fat Randy?
Yeah, that's
Is that
that's it.
PHAT?
Yeah, that's PH. That is 100% PH. Remember when he fake pulled 3 different hamstrings on his 2
I
different
remember.
legs?
Sniper.
That was a big time sniper on that one. But it was just fun to see. The Giants with Danny DeVito's son Tommy, they're playing damn good football right now. So good for them.
Which, by the
They've won 3 in a
way,
row.
Tommy DeVito, a.k.a. Danny DeVito, he is part of our cherry on top today.
Yes.
For those of you that may have missed it.
I think Elliott sent you a DM for that, Casey.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes. That's
Yep.
definitely part of our cherry on top. Okay, are we ready to get the picks here for how we did over the weekend? Because I know I was.
Oh, did we not do that yesterday?
No, we did
No,
not.
picks.
We
I
did
totally
not.
forgot that we didn't do that. Let's do that.
All right, let's do that. We only had NFL picks last week, although I tell you, I really regret us not picking the Army-Navy game. Did you see, by the way, that post-game speech given by the Army coach?
No.
No.
I would highly recommend to anybody, okay, if you just have a few minutes. I mean, all of us love watching that, like the Zach Taylor post-game stuff, right? That they put on the internet. He gives out game balls and says to his team whatever he says, right? Well, this is, Army Navy's a whole different world, man. Whole different world. And I would highly recommend, if you have a minute, just, type in whatever. You probably find it on YouTube or whatever, the speech by the Army head coach after they won that game. It's unbelievable. Okay, where do we start?
Rams versus Ravens.
Rams versus Ravens. 7.5 points. And look at who stands alone.
Helly-roo.
I knew it was going to be close.
That would make you, if anything, go back to gambling.
We'll see. I'll tell you what. I don't know the records. If I have a winning record on these picks, I will unretire from gambling right now.
All right.
I'm 1-0.
When did you officially send that out? After the Dolphins game last night that you were done? DUN done?
Yeah. It was about 2 minutes left in that game when I knew where things were going.
Okay, so we're basically looking at a 24-hour respite.
Almost.
Okay.
Almost.
All right, what's next?
Well, it'll be a little less.
All of us had the Ravens. They won the game,
About
but they
19
didn't cover
hours.
the spread on the walk-off punt return for a touchdown. Oh, boy. Elliott.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
1-1.
Reed, you were the only one.
Listen,
And all you do is bash your Bills. That's all you do is
That's
bash
not
them.
true. That's
yes,
not
it is.
true.
The refs,
I
refs
do,
robbed me of this one, by the way.
I do put a lot of love on the Kansas City Chiefs. I do put a lot of love on the Buffalo Bills. I just had a good feeling that the Bills were going to win this one, and I was right.
Well, the refs gave you the game, but
That's true. That's true.
All right, moving on.
Casey, you're 0 for 2.
it impacted Travis Kelce's Hall of Fame
Well,
career.
it was Caskey. It was Caskey making these picks.
Oh, that's right. Well, no, did he pick for you?
I guess he picked for me.
He
Yes.
picked for you, Casey.
Okay.
I guess he picked for me.
All right, what was the final in this one? I can't remember. It was so back and forth.
31-27
Oh!
Cleveland.
So they covered.
So Cleveland covered.
Cover.
It's a good win for you guys.
Yep.
You're
2-1
2-1 now, Elliott.
Here we
2-1.
go.
They're
All right.
2-1.
How we looking?
If I win this, it's over. It's over.
3-1.
Look at that. You're back.
Unless we have a couple more picks, I think that's it, isn't it,
Reed,
Casey?
have you lost?
one
We have a
more.
couple more.
I lost the first one. Yes. I
So
said the
both of
Ravens
you
were gonna
one
cover.
lost weeks.
3-1.
I'm the only guy that picked the Eagles. Shame on me. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was a loser. Big old loser.
Elliott,
4-1. Now, how
Did you follow those picks now?
No, no, I didn't. And that's, I guess, where the problem lies.
you know,
Because
it really is.
If I follow my gut, Tom, I'll never lose. Believing in myself.
Let me
Following
ask
my
you this.
word.
Because seriously, I mean, when we sit in
Yeah,
here and
let's
we
get
make these
serious.
picks, we're just rattling this stuff off the top of our head. It's a gut feel kind of a bet, right?
Yeah.
So are you going back home? If we took all of those games, and Reed just asked you, did you bet on all those games?
Yeah.
Okay, and you said no. Okay. Had you bet, obviously you don't want a lot of money. Okay. Are you going home and over analyzing?
Yeah, I am.
It's
It's an
It's
overanalyzation.
paralysis through analysis.
That's right. That was very good. Yes.
That is good. That is good. You know what they say about that?
What?
That's the term used by non-analytics people that work inside of baseball about analytics people.
Yeah. Are the non-analytics people getting drowned out in
My
baseball
dad-
now?
My
There are a
dad-
lot of them getting ready that are slowly but surely leaving the sport. There are
Sad.
3 people that are getting ready to leave prominent jobs in baseball that I've become aware of in the last 36 to 48 hours. And the sole reason they're getting out is because the analytics guys walk around like they own the joint. And they got all the answers.
My dad uses that paralysis by analysis phrase, 13 times a week. He says it all the time. Mostly about baseball.
I'm not giving names, Harrow, so just relax. I'm not giving names. We'll learn about them when we learn about them.
Before we move into our next segment, you talk about like you are using analysis to pull the betting. As a bettor, you know what I wish we could do? In the world of apps and everything like that, the Betfred
Yeah.
sports books and whatnot, I wish we can go back in time to where you have to go to just like one weekend. You get the sheet from the sports book
Yeah.
that has all the
Yep,
spreads,
yep.
and you circle them out. Then you got to go to the teller and go like, I want this game. I want this in a parlay. I wish we could go back and do that one time. that we don't have to use the apps because there's something fun about
You
holding
can do
bet
that.
slips.
You
I
can
know.
do that in certain places.
But you got the apps, and it's just easy.
The apps are just so much easier.
Yeah.
And once I see it on the app, I'm just going
And I mean,
crazy.
you are dialed in on how to maneuver through that Betfred Sports app.
I am. I'm dialed in, Tom. I know every nook and cranny of that app.
You know, by the way, I thought I had read, speaking of sports books, and Betfred Sports, our partner here, I continue to see this crawl along the bottom about the Cotton Bowl. I thought I had read that Ohio State was a favorite in that game. Kyle McCord announced that he's transferring, and that they went from a favorite to an underdog. But up on the Betfred Sportsbook, I thought I saw yesterday it still had Ohio State as a favorite.
We probably haven't updated it
Okay. All right. I was just curious.
in a little bit of time
Okay.
because the game. It's currently Missouri is a 2.5-point favorite on Betfred Sports.
Okay. Now, Yash says he
no.
just recently graduated with a master's degree in data science about 2 months ago. Master's degree
Ooh.
for
He sends you
Yash.
pics.
But he says,
He
you know
does.
what? I'm a realist, Tom. I don't get wrapped up in all the numbers all the time.
That's what he's trying
Yash.
to do, though.
How about Yash?
Oh, what about that?
Molly's been very active today, although I think it's a burner.
It is.
And Sharon
Here's-
Sharon has been back today. Sharon Peters, she's been back today, which potentially could be a burner as well.
Tom.
That one is a burner.
Tom. Sharon is a burner.
How do you know that? How do
Well,
you
I
know,
know that I've
for a
met
fact
Molly.
that Sharon Peters is a burner?
I'm Facebook friends with Molly. I have met Molly. I think you've met Molly.
I have met
we
Molly.
have met Molly. And we tell you every day that she's not a burner.
Kyle Kasky's in the chat, and he says, Molly, where were you Friday? When he showed up in person, leading some to believe that Molly is not really Molly. He says, I spent a lot of time on my hair that morning. Kyle was looking sharp. He was looking sharp.
He does look sharp.
Yeah. Sharon says that she's not a burner.
Well, I guess that solves that issue.
Let's get to our power rankings.
All right, let's do it. We're starting, as always, with
Reed.
the distinguished Reed
Let's
Mouse,
start with Reed.
a.k.a. Sharon Peters. Go ahead.
Not Sharon.
You're
Peters.
Sharon Peters?
I am not Sharon Peters. I
Reed.
thought it was Paul, but then
Reed.
Sharon Peters threw out a flogging Molly reference, and there's not a chance in hell.
Did
Paul,
you say quitter, Paul?
There's not a chance in hell that Paul would know who.
I don't
flogging
like
Molly
that
is.
term, but did you say it, or did I miss it?
I did not say quitter, Paul. I just said Paul.
He just said Paul, and then
I
you
just
added
said
the
Paul.
quitter.
Well, I thought he said. I'm sorry. I thought he said.
You didn't
quitter,
say
Paul.
quitter, Paul?
That's my
I just
fault.
said Paul.
I thought you said.
Would never say that.
Okay.
But it would make sense if you did because he quit.
Molly is related to me, so she's a real person. All right, Casey.
All
Let's
right.
do these power rankings. I'll pull them. Yeah, there we go. So at the top, I think it's hard to say anybody other than the San Francisco 49ers is the best team. If there was another case for it, it'd be the Baltimore Ravens. I don't care who you have, 1, 2. Those should be your top two teams. You can put them in any order you want. Baltimore Ravens play a complete game. The San Francisco 49ers are just a wagon at this very point. Listen, I've doubted the Dallas Cowboys a lot. It's supposed to say 10-3. Godly, I didn't get to the
It's all right.
records.
It's okay. They wish they were 10-2.
The Dallas Cowboys are 10-3. They go to Buffalo. I've doubted them. Listen, all season long, but they continue to just beat up on teams. They really do. So I have them at third. Philadelphia Eagles. I mentioned 2 weeks ago that I think they're the fourth best team in the league. They're sitting at 10-3, lost 2 in a row. They're still a great team. The defense isn't as good as it was last year, and there's some serious concerns over there. Finally,
That's crazy. This is crazy.
I have the Buffalo Bills at number 5.
do you not have the
The
Bengals
reason I
there?
have the
Wow.
Buffalo Bills,
How do you not have the Bengals
Buffalo
there?
Bills.
I have the Buffalo Bills at number 5. They just went to Kansas City, got a win on the road. They're now favored against the Dallas Cowboys at home. I think the Buffalo Bills will win that game. The Buffalo Bills are going to get in as the 6th seed or the 7th seed in the AFC, and not a single team wants to play them because they know that team can beat any team in the National Football League, and not just beat them, but pretty sure-handedly beat them. Josh Allen makes so many mistakes, but in the same jest, he does so many things well. And this offense is rock solid as it comes. Yeah, I got the Bills as the 5th best team in the league right now.
So you have the Bills. The Bills host the Dallas Cowboys this weekend. That's a 4:25 game on Fox.
Yep.
They play the Justin Herbert-less Chargers the following week, 2 days before Christmas. New Year's Eve, they play the Patriots. And then they go to Miami for the last game of the year. And if you're wondering, the Dolphins beat the Bills 48-20 in Buffalo earlier this season. So you're telling me at 7-6, if I heard you right, I may have misheard you like Quitter Paul. If I heard you right, you just said the Bills are getting in the playoffs ahead of the Cincinnati Bengals.
I think that the Buffalo Bills will be in the postseason. Yes, I do. Listen, I've said now a couple of times the top 4 teams in the league are what they are. So who was I supposed to put it as the 5th? Was I supposed to put the Kansas City Chiefs, who we've all seen the problems there now, and I still believe that they're gonna make a deep run in the postseason? Am I supposed to put the Miami Dolphins, who just blew a 14-point lead against the Tennessee Titans yesterday? Am I supposed to put the Lions, who got absolutely handled by the Chicago Bears? Who am I supposed to put in that 5th spot? I'm putting the team that I think is playing good football right now, and I think has a very high ceiling in the Buffalo Bills.
I misspoke. It was the Bills who beat the Dolphins 48-20 in Buffalo earlier this year. Thank you for the correction, Steve Ross. Go ahead.
All right, my top 5 again.
I am stunned by him thinking Buffalo's going to the playoffs.
Go ahead. That's lunacy. So my top 5, he was wondering who could be the number 1 team. It's the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Dallas Cowboys, as of this moment, are the hottest team in the NFL. As everybody's been telling me right here, right in the studio, Dak Prescott's the front runner for MVP. They have got arguably the best defense in the sport. Dallas Cowboys are good. They just shut down the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football. I think they're all the way back. I think the Dallas Cowboys, as of right this second, are the best team in the National Football League. Number 2, the 49ers, not much to add there. They got a system quarterback running the show. Other than that, they've got a plethora of weapons that carry that roster to a 10-3 record. The Ravens, again, these are my 3 best teams in the NFL. Ravens are damn good. The Ravens are the best team in the AFC. I think they're going to go to an AFC championship game if Lamar Jackson is healthy. 10-3. The Eagles are still number 4. They're 10-3 as well. I think the Eagles are still great. I get everything. Jalen Hurts is having a little bit of an issue with the turnovers, but until they banish the tush push, the Eagles still have a superpower that nobody else has.
Yes.
The Eagles are damn good. They will be playing for an NFC championship game as well. I would bet a lot of money on it. And the Bengals are number 5 because the Bengals have the tiebreaker over the Bills, first of all, and I think the Bengals will sneak into the postseason at some point. I don't know when. Hopefully the last game of the season.
You said you'd bet a lot of money on the Eagles making the NFC Championship game.
Yes, I would.
So who would not make the NFC Championship game from your Power 5?
It would probably be the Dallas Cowboys.
The team that you said is number 1.
As of this second. Did you listen? Because if you listen...
I'm just clarifying.
There was no need to clarify if you listen. Because I said at this very second, the Dallas Cowboys are playing like the best team in the NFL.
Okay.
All right.
Seems like you didn't listen.
Okay.
Quitter Paul.
You know, we'll go to mine, Casey. I have the Baltimore Ravens number 1. You know, fellas, you go back to October the 8th. We are talking well over 2 months. The Baltimore Ravens have lost 1 game. 33-31 against the Browns. And that was a total debacle, right? But they lost. Every game, with the exception of the Chargers game a couple of weeks, they're putting up 31, 38, 31, 37, 31, 34, 37. They are scoring like gangbusters. That having been said, you look at the Ravens' last 4 weeks, nobody has the schedule that they have. They go to Jacksonville this coming week. This is Sunday night. They go to the 49ers the week after that. That'll be on Christmas night. How about that as a Santa Claus gift for you?
That's great.
Ravens v. Niners, right? Then they come home to play the Miami Dolphins on New Year's Eve and then finish the year against bitter rival Pittsburgh. That's big-time schedule right there.
No doubt about it.
Number 2, Dallas, they just whitewashed Philly. We know that. We've said it. We saw it. 49ers are rolling. If I had to pick in a game tomorrow, 49ers-Cowboys, I'd take 49ers. But right now, Dallas is just on an unbelievable run. Granted, against lesser competition, except for the other night. Eagles at 4, and boys, don't look now. Casey?
Yes,
don't look now. Number 5, the Joe Flacco-led Cleveland Browns. 8-5. They have become the front runner among the wild card teams now in the AFC.
Why do you think the Browns are the fifth best team?
Because they've got it going on. Their defense is their defense has not been as good. Garrett went out. Denzel Ward's been banged up. But those aren't going to be injuries that are going to keep these guys from being ready when it matters. And they still they're on their they're the first team. The first team, I think it was to get to 8 wins in their first 13 weeks of the season. Since Brian Sipe started the year as a quarterback for the Brownies in 1980, to have 4 different starting quarterbacks and still win 8 of your first 13. And Flacco looks the best of all of them. Mm-hmm. Not even close. He looks better than Deshaun looked, certainly better than the other 2 guys, Walker and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So, I mean, I don't know how anybody outside of just being a blatant Cleveland hater, which we have a lot of those in this room, I don't know how in the world you don't think the Brownies are one of the best teams in the National Football League. Casey, any response, if any?
I think it's a little bit of a fool's gold, Tom. I think eventually
Tell
Joe
me
Flacco.
what you don't like about Cleveland. Seriously, objectively speaking, what is it you don't like besides it's Cleveland? But as far as their team is concerned, what don't you like about the Cleveland Browns?
Mainly their offense. I think if I'm being serious here, I think their offense is a little bit of fool's gold. I do think that Joe Flacco will eventually show why he has been out of the league, why he wasn't even a backup to begin with. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars gave up 34 points to the Bengals with the backup quarterback, and I also think the Browns haven't been able to run the ball. That's their identity. I don't know how long you can continue to rely on Joe Flacco airing it out. So for me, they have a really easy schedule, so that works in their favor. I'm not going to suggest that they won't make the playoffs because I think that's a little crazy. But I'm not a fan of their offense right now. We'll see how they play against the Bears because the Bears have really been turning it on defense as of late.
Yep.
We'll see.
When you look at the Browns this year, they have wins over the Jaguars. They have a win over Baltimore. They have a win over the 49ers. And, of course, they bludgeon the Bengals. So, I don't know.
The Browns have more wins over teams with a winning record than the Dolphins, Cowboys, and Lions combined.
What's that tell you?
Means they're playing good teams and beating them. Yeah. So they might be a good team, Tom.
You were the guy.
You were the guy
that picked the Brownies.
Yeah, but then their quarterback.
They're getting better quarterback play right now than they've gotten all year long.
They're on quarterback.
Why
4.
would you change your mind?
They're on quarterback.
Flacco,
4.
5 touchdowns, 2 picks in 2 games.
I have a hard time believing Elijah Moore and David Njoku can carry that offense in the postseason. They will get to the postseason. The Browns are a playoff team, but I have a hard time. I have a what?
They'll win 2 games.
That's what I said when they had a healthy quarterback. They don't have that. They have they do have that. He's just bad.
So you like Deshaun Watson better than Joe Flacco?
I like I'm going to be very clear. Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than Joe Flacco currently when he's healthy.
Okay.
I do not like Deshaun Watson. I want to make that abundantly clear.
Okay.
He's your guy.
That is not my guy.
He is your guy.
No, it might be Casey's guy.
He's your guy because you took him and said that they're going to go to the AFC Championship game riding the strong, broad shoulders of Deshaun Watson.
You did say that.
We have the tape.
I never said it.
You did.
I never said that. That's nonsense.
Did you say they were going to win 2 playoff games?
Sure. Maybe.
Who was the quarterback when you made that prediction?
Deshaun.
You have dispelled that prediction since then, And who is no longer the quarterback?
Deshaun.
That's your guy. The defense rest.
That tracks.
That's damning.
That's Perry Mason-esque.
Yeah, it is.
For those of you old enough to remember Perry Mason.
The Browns currently, their odds to win the AFC are 15-1. 6 best odds in the AFC.
Sixth?
6 best odds in the AFC.
So who would they be behind besides so they'd be behind the Ravens?
Ravens
They'd
have
be
the
behind,
best odds.
Okay, then you have
Chiefs have the second best odds.
still.
Yep.
Okay.
Then the Dolphins.
The Dolphins have better odds than the Browns.
Yes.
Okay.
Then it goes Buffalo Bills,
Okay.
my 5th best team in the league. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's because they have to compete for a wild card spot. That's the only reason why they have lower odds.
Okay.
Bengals to win the AFC 75-1. So if Elliott puts his remaining Betfred account on the Bengals to win the AFC in about a month and a half, he'll be all the way back.
How about that?
Interesting. Now, I just saw this, not to change the subject, Tom, but I'm going to change it. I saw on Twitter, x.com, Charlie Goldsmith has just tweeted this out. Nick Kroll said the 2021 and 2023 Reds offenses tailed off down the stretch. With more depth and experience in Candelario, the Reds address that and upgrade the lineup. Steer will play a lot more outfield, and Jonathan India will also work in the outfield. How about that? Leadership. Your guy Scott Boras said that wasn't going to happen.
No, he didn't.
But he
That's
was
not
wrong.
what he said. In fact, what he said is turning out to be accurate, spot on. What Boras said was he was not in favor of making a change during the season. He said if you were given a heads up during the offseason, whole different ball game.
Interesting.
So, hey, I love it. This is the kind of stuff I was saying back when I was doing the Reds games. Get guys moving around. And the Reds are clearly doing that. Now, they have the athletes to do it. India's an excellent athlete. He'll be able to play the outfield. No problem. You can start moving guys around on the infield. Ellie, I'd like to see, personally, I'd like to see De La Cruz get some play in spring training this year in center field.
Yep.
I'd like to see it.
He's too good of a
I'm
shortstop.
not saying you play him out there regularly.
He's too good of a shortstop.
I'm just saying that when you've got to start maneuver, he's a good third baseman too. But I'm saying when you got to start moving guys around as games go on and you're changing this guy. And Lord knows, every single analytics matchup, David Bell's playing that card. So you're going to get caught in games where you got to have more guys that you can plug in here, move this guy there. I mean, I remember we see Chris Bryant playing like 4 different positions in one game.
Yeah.
This was a league MVP. If he can do it, why can't Ellie De La Cruz, who's a better athlete, do it?
Yep.
Why can't he do it?
You look at every team, especially in the National League for some reason, over the past few years that have been contenders. They all have a guy that's in the lineup every day. Like if you put your starting lineup out there, your best 9, he might not be in that lineup, but he plays 140 games because he plays 5 different positions. Guy I'm thinking about is a guy like Kike Hernandez for the Dodgers for the long time. Like he'd play shortstop, third base, left field, center field, right field. He's in the lineup every single day. Versatility, and this is the point that you're making, is so crucial. Yeah, you have your stars play where they play, right?
Yep.
You're going to have Matt McClain and probably Ellie up the middle majority of the time. The rest of the guys, listen, get a diverse portfolio. Let's play different positions. That's why Spencer Steer is so versatile. That's why he's so valuable, and that's what Jonathan India can kind of be as a bad fielder. If you learn how to play 4 positions at a mediocre level, then you're still a pretty good baseball player because they can throw you in the lineup every single day.
We're going to talk to Nick Kirby about all this. Now, he had a work meeting this morning, and it was about a half-hour drive from his house. And he's got a big interview that he's going to be posting, I believe.
I saw that.
Right?
Yep, today.
Yes.
With, why am I drawing a blank?
The GM?
No, it's not with Nick Kroll. Metter from the Reds front office. And they're going to talk about all the players in the system and all that kind of thing. That will be posting
Right after the show.
right after the show today?
Yeah.
Right after this show.
Yep.
I think that's the GM now, isn't it? Because Nick Kroll is the president.
Yeah,
of
I guess technically you're right.
I think-
You're right. You're right.
Nick
You're
Carl's
right.
the
So that will be something certainly worth sticking around for. Hopefully, one of the biggest story. I think it was the biggest story in sports yesterday. Is when the details came out about this Shohei Ohtani deal.
Yeah.
That's nonsense.
I really believe it was the biggest story in sports yesterday because I think, I've never understood this, and this is for a different time, and I'll get Ken Rosenthal to come on the show sometime. I have never understood why the national media, or even local media, baseball writers, why they celebrate these contracts so much. It's like they're jumping up and down giddy when a guy signs a $400 million deal. And they're writing all year long about, this guy's going to be the first $500 million player. And Shoei, Ken Rosenthal, who I love, we've been friends a long time. He wrote an article yesterday in The Athletic telling me how healthy the game of baseball is that Shohei got a $700 million deal. And I read his points, and I'm sitting there saying to myself, maybe I'm just short upstairs between the ears. I know I am. I don't see how it's good. And then when the details come out about the structure of the contract, this is something that the players' union would have had no part of since really its inception. This backloaded deferral at this kind of level deal. They would have never gone for it, would never have allowed it to happen. Now, Jeff Passan from ESPN wrote yesterday that there's nothing, even if they wanted to, there is nothing the owners or the players' union can do about it. But for those of you that missed it, Shohei signs 10 years, $700 million. $70 million a year over 10 years. He is getting $680 million of that $700 million. All but $20 million he is getting after the contract expires in deferral money. He is taking a $2 million a year salary. That'll probably chew up his rent in Los Angeles. Is he ready to go?
Yes.
All right. Our good friend Nick Kirby. You see him all the time. Chatterbox Reds, one of the most popular shows in America. That's not an exaggeration. He's a busy man. Nick, good morning. Thanks for the time, buddy. I want to get into this Shohei thing for a second. When you and I were texting last night and talking about you coming on the show, that's really when the word was starting to leak out about the structure of this contract. And I was asking the question before you came on. I've never understood why members of the media celebrate these contracts. I mean, just report it. The guy signed a contract and move on. But it seems like that the press turns into doing jumping jacks and putting in pom-poms in their hands when guys sign $700 million deals. The structure of this deal, Nick, convince me why I'm wrong, where I think this is really bad for baseball.
Convince you why it's? I don't think it's good.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, then you're in the same camp as me. But at least give me the other side, because I'm having a hard time understanding how a major market team, they've clearly dodged the luxury tax thing, so good for them of being able to figure it all out, right? Okay, so, but I mean, for the guys in the camp of the mid-market to small market franchises, this has got to be like getting cold-cocked and not even know it's coming. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, like from the Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani's standpoint, like if I was a fan of the Dodgers, I'd be thrilled that they were able to pull this off. I mean, they straight abused the rules, and good for them. I mean, like I would want my team to be, trying to find every advantage they can. I just think that Shohei Ohtani is such a unicorn here, Tom, that he's the only player that would be willing to do this kind of deal, right? Because he's already A, made so much money, and B, he's getting more money in endorsements than any baseball player's ever got. So he's essentially going to make a larger salary on endorsements alone than, 80% of baseball. So it's just such a weird situation that it's kind of exploited this rule. And Tom, my biggest fear right now is that this is going to be another contentious thing in the next CBA, which I think is 2026. And we're going to be going through the whole other nightmare again here in a couple of years, like we had last year with the lockout.
Why would this put it into perspective, Kirby? Because you put that out on social media last night, Nick. About why would this be a bone of contention in the next collective bargaining agreement, to go that high up the food chain?
I'm curious what the player's perspective is, because and outside of competitiveness, this isn't hurting the players at all. I saw some people saying, well, players got to be mad at this. I was like, I don't know, because this just allows the Dodgers to be a player in free agency with other potential free agents. So which is essentially is going to make another team bidding. So the player, I don't think other players are going to be mad that Ohtani did this. So that I'm very curious to see like what the MLBPA stance was. I assume there are some players that probably are like, hey, this is really impacting the competitive balance of the game. But you could really see players going one side or the other. I know Trevor Plouffe, who's a part of John Boy and Talking Baseball, former player, he was all on Shohei Ohtani's side and loved it. So I don't know if he's a representation of the collective, side of baseball players. But I would love to ask a bunch of baseball players what their thoughts are on this, because I think you might get a lot of differing opinions.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody knows, it goes without saying, that everybody and his brother would take that kind of contract. And, I mean, the Reds and other teams have done different sort of deferrals to guys, but nothing to the magnitude of this level. I mean, you read some of the same stuff I read. I saw where Jeff Passan from ESPN said there's nothing that the owners or the players union can do about this thing. I just think this really hurts baseball. I mean, I just think it just reeks of such an incredible competitive advantage, as you just pointed out, for the teams that already have a competitive advantage, if for no other reason they just have more money.
Yeah, I mean, there's already concerns with competitive balance in the game. I think how much we should be concerned with that. I mean, I think it differs from person to person. I mean, the one good thing about baseball is, unlike any other sport, it often can work itself out. The Dodgers could go out and win 125 games next year and lose in the NLDS. They get swept by a team like the Reds that sneak in, and that's the kind of the beauty of baseball, is that it does kind of self-police itself from some of that. But I mean, like, I would be really just distraught if I was like a fan of the Arizona Diamondbacks right now. You just go to the World Series, and man, now the Dodgers are able to obviously outspend us, and you can argue whether they should or shouldn't. I mean, I think that most rational people understand the Dodgers have more money than teams like Arizona. But now they're able to, on top of that, not even have it count towards their luxury tax. It's just like, it's got to be a gut punch for really those fans. For Reds fans, I don't know. Does this really make that big of a difference to the Reds and their chances? Probably not a whole lot. But it really stinks for, I guess, the fans of the NL West would be more than anything.
Yeah, you're right. All right, now you have a big interview coming up right after our show today, right?
Yes, Reds general manager Brad Meter, interviewed him at Reds Fest. We got 6 interviews. I think we're going to probably put them up every Tuesday for the next 6 weeks. Going to try, hopefully, the wizard behind the computer, Casey McCullough, was able to figure out how to have this show go right into that. But I think it's supposed to instant premiere, so your whole audience will be sent over to that and can catch that out. But I really enjoyed that interview with Brad. I was surprised how in depth he went. I was really expecting very cookie cutter answers, and he gave legitimate answers. And the most surprising thing was when Justin Kinder, the guy I was doing these interviews with 1410, straight up asked him, "What's your expectations?" He said, "We want to win the division next year." So they weren't holding any punches, which I think a lot of Reds fans I think should be really excited about. That hey, they're actually saying it's not like, well, we want to compete, we want to try to win a division. No, he was very straightforward, said we want to win the NL Central next year.
All right, buddy, we were really looking forward to that. We thank you for your time on short notice, and have a great rest of your day, and we've got your interview coming up. Thanks for being with us, buddy.
Right. Thanks, Tom.
All right, Nick Kirby.
Bye, Nick. Love you.
Yeah, I know you do. Boy,
I had to get that
him placing that interview into the hands of one Casey McCollister coming up next.
What?
It'll air. We're just trying to redirect the chat. Casey's got it.
Is that what he just said or not? Did he just say that the future of his big interview with the current Reds general manager rests on the broad shoulders of one Casey McAllister? Did he just say that?
Well, it's gonna air. He just wanted me to make sure that the chat would be redirected at the end of the show straight into that interview. So then you don't have to leave where you're sitting at.
So we are like this show is like the NFL 425 game on CBS, which leads right into 60 minutes.
Correct. Yeah, just like that.
Same audience size, roughly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That contract is stupid.
It's just unbelievable.
I don't know how. Again, maybe
he went for it. That's what's crazy. It was his idea.
Well,
the agent and him are geniuses. They're geniuses.
Yep.
Because for them to convince the Dodgers of this, brilliant. They're going to get out of so much money, so much tax money when he moves inevitably when that contract ends. It'll be absurd. The Dodgers, of course, Tom mentioned it. Their luxury tax. They're getting saved money there. They're also going to be able to compete for the next 10 years. I just don't. I don't know how you can look at that deal and say, yeah, this sport's fine. This sport's fair. It's everybody. The NFL is the best sport on the planet, and it's not because of anything. It's because of parity. It's because there's a level playing field. It's fair all the way around. Anybody can beat anybody on any given Sunday, always in the NFL. MLB is not like that.
That's right.
And that's the state of the league. And I don't know how you can't fix it.
Nope.
You can't fix it.
Nope, you can't. Because the players are never going to go for a salary cap. No. It's never going to happen.
The only solution that there could be is you would have to make owners that have a ton of money buy the teams instead of, and again, this is no knock, but kind of a little bit of a knock, the Castellinis, whose net worth does not equate to that contract. That can't happen. You can't have players getting paid more than owners.
Yeah, and you have a huge disparity as far as what owners, the money they have in the National Football League. But because of the salary structure of the sport itself, you can have a publicly owned team like the Green Bay Packers, and you can have, I guess they say the richest guy of all of them in the NFL is Kroenke out with the Rams. At least that's my understanding. But, they're all gazillionaires in the NFL. But there is a disparity between what some of them have. I mean, the difference between what Mike Brown has and what Stan Kroenke has is a lot of money. It's a lot of big difference.
Yep.
A guy that just bought the team in D.C. You're talking about hedge fund, big market money guy. They are what they are.
What percentage of revenue in the NFL is profit share? Because it's significant, right?
Yeah, the only thing, it's flip-flop in baseball. Basically, if you look at it from this standpoint. Now, look, the television deals signed in football are here and here compared to the television deals signed in baseball. And the baseball deals are good deals, but the football things are up here, right? And they're getting them from multiple different outlets, including the whole streaming thing. Baseball's dipped its toe with that Friday thing with Apple, but the NFL, I mean, they got it going on, right? Plus their red zone, plus their, all that other sort of stuff with YouTube. But all of that money is equally divided among the teams. All of the money, but because of it's a national run league, there are no local games on television, so there's no local disparity in money. NFL, yeah, they all split this amount, but where the significant difference is, if the Reds are getting $60 million from Fox Sports, Ohio, Bally's, whatever it might be, and maybe nothing next year when that contract is going to be gone, people like the Yankees and the Dodgers own their own television networks, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and so do the Red Sox. And the Cubs are owned by Bally's, Marquee, but the Cubs, I don't know how that whole thing is. Anyway, but, I mean, the disparity as far as local television revenue is concerned, and each individual team sticks that money in its own pocket and doesn't share it with anybody. You try to even it out by having a luxury tax, and then you get contracts like this, which avoid it entirely.
What's the current salary cap in the NFL?
I think it was
I'll double check.
230 went up last year, something along those lines, if I'm not mistaken.
So
224.8.
Okay, so Jolly
and it's going up again next year.
Jolly says that each NFL team gets $250 million from TV deals at the current.
Yeah,
so
and that will
their
go
TV
up.
deal, their TV deal covers their salary. So they're already working
before they sell a ticket
in the green, before they sell a ticket, before they sell a single beer.
Yeah.
Before they sell a single jersey.
Yep.
And then on top of that, like next year, the salary cap is supposed to be to exceed 240,
Yep.
250. So I mean, they're
And the TV money's going up too.
yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
goes
just
up
going to
every
keep
single
going
year.
up.
So then you're sticking the money in your pocket for the signage, for the skyboxes, for the tickets, for the beers, for the hot dogs, for the local radio, and on and on and on and on. Yeah, it's pretty good business if you could get in it. And it all comes down to the difference, as Nick points out in the chat. The reason for all of this is because of the Major League Players Union. And that is the end of the discussion. I'm not blaming anything. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just saying the reason you have salary caps in the NBA, the NHL, and in the NFL, and you don't have it in baseball, is because of the strength and the power of the Major League Baseball Players Association. End of discussion. Okay. We only have a couple of minutes left here. We've got that interview coming up right after this show. Any other programming notes for today, the rest of the day?
Kyle Caskey will be on with Chatterbox Clicker with Kyle Caskey.
5:30.
5:30. So be sure to check the game tape of the win over the Colts. I believe Nick is going live tonight as well.
Yep, 9:30.
Chatterbox Reds at 9:30.
Man, he's busy dude.
Yes, he is.
Busy
A
dude.
lot of people were beating him down for that camera.
We love Nick. That was a funny-looking camera.
There was a lot of good jokes. There was a
they
lot
were
of
all
good
in
jokes in the
fun.
chat.
All
The
in
chat
good-
was
good
on
love.
it.
We love the chat loves Nick, but we were having fun with that camera.
My favorite one was it was the Blair Witch Project camera.
There were better ones than that.
Also, you have a cherry on top, Tom.
I do. And by the way, Jolly just double-checked. That number is actually up to $280 million a year per team.
So it's-
and making a significant jump starting next year.
So it's fair to say that the TV deal. So if the salary cap is 220, and then you top on all the coaching staff,
And that'll
the
go
personnel.
250 next year.
But okay, but it's 228 at this year. So they're getting 282 from TV deals right now, and they're paying 228 in terms of salary cap. After you pay all the employees, you pay the coaching staff, and even if you pay for the trips, right? You pay for wherever you're going out of town, all
That's
the
right.
road games and stuff like that. You are in the green before you sell a single ticket in the NFL.
Or Skybox. Or
Jersey.
or beer, or hot dog, or, you name it.
So if you're a billionaire and a team, an NFL franchise, is open for sale, how the hell do you not hop all over that?
Well, that's why they're lining up. That line would go from here to Middletown.
Well, it's that bidding war, right? I mean,
Is that why
the last one was like $1 billion being sold with the Broncos, right?
Well, if you
The-
pay
the-
$1 billion
the Commanders,
for
I
the-
think, broke the record.
Did they? I have
thought they
no
broke
idea.
it.
Well,
I
that was a
thought they
group.
broke it.
That was a group of people,
Yeah,
though,
it
right?
is.
But still,
there's
yeah,
two
you-
main money guys behind that Commanders deal. But you're right. There are other people involved in it. Yeah.
Washington just sold for $6 billion, and like that's a done deal because you'll make that money back in a decade.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of people like to point out that, major league owners, they buy the team at X amount, they sell it for this amount. But baseball doesn't have the cash flow that football has.
Correct.
Now, the Reds had more cash flow this year, but they will tell you they lost anywhere. And whether you believe them or not, it's up to you. I'm not saying I believe them or don't believe them. I don't know because we don't have information. They don't have open books. But the Reds would tell you that they lost $15 to $20 million a year each of the last 4 or 5 years when nobody went to the games. Last year, different deal. And now all of a sudden you're staring down the barrel at no television deal. We'll see how that goes. All right. We talk about your good friend and mine, Tommy DeVito,
That's right.
victorious quarterback for the Giants last night. Now, look, New York, right? Actually, the Meadowlands, where allegedly Jimmy Hoff is buried somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, that's right.
DeVito, you got the, people, they'll leap to conclusions. This was DeVito with his agent on the field last night before the game. How about this dude?
He looks like Al Capone.
That is a big league outfit right there, man.
He's got the fedora, the pinstripe suit. Listen, he looks like he's got a safe house here in Little Chicago.
Now, you don't think that's all over the New York newspapers today, do you?
I don't
I mean,
know.
come on.
I don't know if it's a bit or if that's how that guy dresses, like genuinely dresses. But if it is a bit, he's got to lean into it. Regardless, he's got to wear that if he wears that every single game going forward for the Giants, he will be on the television screen like we do with Taylor Swift at the Chiefs games. I mean, every time Tommy DeVito throws a touchdown, they'll show his agent in the corner in his pinstripe suit, probably with a Tommy gun in hand, clapping him on.
It is the New York Post, Tommy DeVito's agent. Oh God, you always get the ads in the New York papers. It makes me crazy. The agent is Sean Stellato. He is known as the Italian stallion of sports agents. He was caught last night. That picture you just saw a second ago. And he has never been shy about playing up his Italian-American heritage, and neither has DeVito, apparently. So that was one of the great pictures of all time last night. By the way, he will be inducted into the National Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame in Chicago this week.
Really?
I've actually been to that. When Jerry Colangelo, the owner of the Arizona Diamondbacks, when I was announcing the Diamondbacks team, he is a native of Chicago. We were playing the Cubs that week. They set up that induction ceremony for all of us to be there for it, and we went to his induction to the Italian-American Sports Hall of Fame.
Nice.
Big league operation.
You got any Italian heritage, Tom?
NUN, none.
None. Right.
None. But I love the Italians. Love them. Love them. All right, Casey.
Yep.
You got everything ready to go for the big show with Nick Kirby?
Yep, we got to wrap it up.
Interview.
We got to wrap it up, so we're not
tomorrow
late.
we got Marty Brenneman on the show, among others. Be talking about whatever's going on, including the UC Bearcats against Bryant tonight. Gentlemen, have a great rest of your day.
You too, Tom.
You have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us here on Off the Bench. Chatterbox Sports. Here we go. Nick Kirby.